Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So a bunch of Star Wars footage dropped. I cobbled some things together, so check it out. We'll break it down at the end.
Jin, whatever I do it to protect you. So you understand?
I understand.
We have intercepted a coded Imperial transmission. It indicates that a major weapons test is imminent. We need to know how to destroy it.
So why me?
The message was sent by your father.
They call it the Death Star. It's capable of destroying an entire planet. It could be the end of us all. There's a way to defeat it. You need to capture the plans.
If you're really doing this, I want to help.
We'll need a team.
She wants to fight. You almost shot me.
You're welcome.
The power that we are dealing with here is immeasurable.
There is a 97.6% chance of failure.
Cargo shuttle, what's your call sign?
It's, Rogue. Rogue One.
They have no idea we're coming.
Make 10 men feel like 100.
We'll take the next chance. And the next. Until we win, or the chances are spent. The Empire's building a weapon capable of destroying an entire planet. We have to capture the plans if there's any hope of destroying it.
How many do I need?
Make 10 men feel like 100.
Welcome to Rogue One.
If the Empire has this kind of power, what chance do we have?
We have hope. Rebellions are built on hope.
So something we haven't seen a lot of before in all this Rogue One footage is actual space battles. So whereas in Star Wars The Force Awakens, taking place, long time after this happens, so ship design has changed a lot, you have to remember that we're in a time right before Episode 4. So pretty much all the ships from the original trilogy will be featured in this. Like everything will look very familiar, even though all the characters, with a few exceptions, will be different. I'll talk about that too. Ben Mendelsohn has said a lot of cool stuff about his villain, Orso Krennic, and how he fits into the power structure of the Empire. He talked about it kind of like the Empire is this stratified high-class versus low-class structure, whereby he could only achieve a certain level of notoriety because he comes from very low beginnings. So he's really pissed off about that because he's almost smarter than people like Grand Moff Tarkin. But the way the actor paints his relationship with the Imperial Council is that they're very much like upper class, classic old world British royalty, and they don't want to have anything to do with him, so they've kind of banished him off to this side project, even though it's a really big deal. So he feels like the Death Star is his way to make a name for himself. So you can kind of see they're trying to paint him as something of an anti-hero within the Empire, even though he himself does very terrible things. That's why he sounds the way he does. He doesn't sound like the other commanding officers that you met on the Death Star in Episode 4. They said that they did that very consciously. Like when he was getting ready to be in the movie, he said, what kind of accent should I have? Should I have a very upper class British accent? And they were like, no, we don't want your character to be like that. Like he's not part of this Imperial club of ruling officers, so he's viewed as an underdog within the Empire. But it's all part of them trying to introduce some more complexity into the Empire. But of course, the Empire would be super racist, super classist, and super sexist. So you'll see some of that play out in the movie. But the other cool stuff, you see them testing the super laser. So they're gonna have like a small version of what happened in Episode 4 when they blew up Alderaan. So there's a little bit more Darth Vader footage. I'll be interested to see what his relationship with Orso Krennic is like, because he does not suffer fools. But the interesting thing, if you've been reading the Star Wars comics, is that Darth Vader recognizes people of value. So he's still the terrible Vader that you remember, but if he sees someone that he senses will be able to help him do something, he'll go out of his way to help them achieve their task. so he might try to help out Orso Krennic in a very Darth Vader type way. Like, he's not a nice person, but if you're really awesome at what you do and you're building a giant super laser for the Empire, then Darth Vader is probably going to try and help you out. But everything looks fantastic. I'll be really interested to see where this movie leaves off with these characters. I don't think we all expect them to survive just because the mission that they're on is such a big deal. But obviously we know that the rebels get the plans, so they are successful. But like the big question is what happens to Jyn Erso? Does she die? Is she going to be in any of the other spin-off movies? We know about the Han Solo movie. They've been talking about doing a Yoda movie, a Boba Fett movie. There's a number of ways if they want to bring the Jyn Erso character back for her to be in those other movies, but you can only shoehorn her into so many situations. Like, how big is she in the life of Han Solo? So you guys let me know, what do you think about the footage, and how do you want them to use these characters in the other spin-off movies, the ones that survive? I think a couple of them will definitely die, but I know there have been a lot of theories about how Jyn Erso is connected to people in the main trilogy and The Force Awakens, those characters. They've already debunked the Rey's mother theory, but that doesn't mean that she's not connected to some of the other Rebel characters, or even the First Order characters, so it's still kind of up in the air. But there have been rumors that we might see some Star Wars Episode 8 stuff happening around the Rogue One release. The bad rumor that I've heard, and it's just a rumor, so it doesn't mean that it's true, is that Lucasfilm is worried that people will confuse the timelines too much. So if you drop Episode 8 footage with Rogue One, people will get really confused about what is happening where and why characters in one movie aren't appearing in the other movie. So you can do like the giant facepalm, like everybody watching this video probably isn't worried about that. You know exactly where Rogue One takes place in the timeline, and you know when the new trilogy takes place. So if we do not get a Star Wars Episode 8 teaser before the end of the year, just blame everybody that doesn't understand that Rogue One is a prequel and it takes place during the timeline of the original trilogy, not during the new films. But I will totally do some more Star Wars Episode 8 videos when we get closer to Rogue One coming out, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. We have learned some stuff about the movie, like Luke Skywalker, why he supposedly doesn't have his lightsaber in any of the images that people are talking about. I think it's really just in service of a big twist, like Return of the Jedi style twist, because we have Anakin Skywalker now, that's with Rey, she'll be using that. And then in some big moment, Luke Skywalker will get his back, we'll get to see some really cool lightsaber fights, but there'll be plenty more Episode 8 stuff happening later this year, so get hype. While you guys wait for my next video, if you haven't seen it in a while, they posted an Episode 8 teaser a long time ago. You can click here to watch that, and you can click here for a really cool Spider-Man Homecoming interview video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.